You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. CHILUFYA TAYALI celebrates the jailing of NDC leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. JCTR says the Zambian government paid a blind eye to its debt obligation, hence the panic. Government stresses the need for enhanced hand washing in disease prevention. And in international news, Nigeria protests continue even after government disbands police squad. And in sports news, sports minister expresses confidence in coach MICHO, assures them of maximum support. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. United Party for National Development UPND President Hakainde Hichilema says the incarceration of NDC leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is a clear example of how unfair trial can be and injustice to the people through the justice system. Mr. Hichilema says there is always darkness before dawn, urging Mr. KAMBWILI's family to stay strong. He has also urged all alliance partners to stay strong now more than ever when one of its leaders is incarcerated. Meanwhile, National Democratic Party Vice President Joseph Akafumba says CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is still the party president and is hopeful that the appeal will be granted after a hearing on the 20th of October next week. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment on 2 counts which he will serve concurrently in a matter where he has been charged with uttering false documents and forgery.
National Democratic Congress Party leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was yesterday convicted on 2 counts, which he will serve concurrently, meaning if the appeal fails, which his lawyers hopes may reduce the sentences or indeed discharge the whole sentence, will only serve for 1 year in prison. This is in a matter in which CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is accused of forgery and uttering a false document in line with the incorporation of Mamona Engineering and Technical Services Limited. KAMBWILI, who is spending his second night behind bars, has heard his supporters cry foul of his incarceration done under the controversial judge David Musamba. NDC Party Vice President Joseph Akafumba says NDC is shocked at the fast pace in which the judgment was given, stating that it is a clear indication of trying to feast political opponents using the justice system.
I directly chose to hold this press briefing here to signify one thing, that even if our president is in incarceration now, he is still our president and remains our president. Now, coming to the issue of the judgment for yesterday, we did conduct a search at court, and we found that in the last 10 years, Musamba having been a magistrate, this is the fastest judgment that he has delivered in 2 weeks. I will repeat. We did conduct a search at court, and we found that in the last 10 years, this is the fastest judgment Musamba delivered in the last 2 weeks. Therefore, your guess is as good as mine. If at all he was working at this speed, I think it was going to decongest the number of remandees in prison. I have all along, including all the cases that are already before court, tried to get CK where they have put him, to weaken his spirit. But I can assure the nation that the man is not broken and is as strong as ever. in defense of the Zambian poor people. Yesterday, we quickly applied for bail pending appeal. The magistrate, in his wisdom, refused to entertain it, and he has put the date of 20th October, which is next week, Tuesday, to hear and determine the bail application. Ordinarily, things being equal, he should have heard and determined the bail application. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, a bail is a right. But under these circumstances where we are, where PF has broken all the institutions of governance, it's only the PF who are above the law.
In speaking at the joint press briefing at CHISHIMBA, KAMBWILI's residence, United Party for National Development President Hakainde Hichilema says there is darkness before light, urging the members in the alliance and CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI's family to stay strong in this trying moment.
A country that is supposed to offer so much to its people is actually not offering nothing, but is taking away even the little that the citizens have. This is a situation that is obtaining in our country. That includes taking away our fundamental rights, liberties, freedoms. CK's situation, I said it to the family inside, in strengthening the family, must never be viewed as a case of criminality. It truly shouldn't be. It should rightly be viewed as a case of taking away a citizen's rights.
Meanwhile, earlier in the day, CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was visited by his family members and is said to be in high spirit. The party awaits for bail hearing next week on Tuesday, 20th of October. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The United Party for National Development, UPND, has appealed to the Patriotic Front-led government to stop kindergarten politics, which are not of benefit to anyone. Speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka, UPND Kasempa District Secretary Shamano Sondashi adds that PF's ways of bribing councillors is a bad habit which does not contribute anything meaningful. And Kanakeshi Ward Councillor Morgan Mabamba says the PF tried bribing him but failed due to his commitment and loyalty to the party. Meanwhile, Kasempa District PF Ino Kalele, who defected from PF to the UPND, has since urged all party members to not be deceived with the tactics used by PF in order to get them, especially ward councillors. UPND Kamachechi Ward Councillor Morgan Mabamba has rescinded his resignation decision.
Not those that belong to UPND, of course, those are already our MPs. It's only unfortunate that the two, I think, that we know, among the one called the big man to try and, keep him away from coming back home. That they need to be brave enough and begin to emulate gentlemen like them, like him. Because if really someone gets money and gives Mr. Sondashi to say support butane, that is our Zambian constitution. We don't need to sell it to anybody. Because if supporting butane comes because we've been given an enticement, then it means we are selling it to whoever is giving us that money. So our Zambian constitution is not for sale. And I want to assure PF and our president, Edgar Chagalung, the Zambian Republican president, that in fact, if he really wants to continue pushing butane, he will be disappointed because some of the people that have gotten the money, we know them and they are ready not to vote. They will either abscond or just stay, they will not cast a vote. Why? Because I think they are conscious.
Socialist Party leader Fred Membe says it is not surprising that Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI has been convicted and sent to jail. Mr. Membe says there was no fair trial in the case of CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. He says fair trials are the only way to prevent miscarriages of justice are an essential part of a just, fair and humane society, adding that every person accused of a crime should have their guilt or innocence determined by a fair and effective legal process. He explains that the right to fair trial has long been recognized by the international community as a basic human right, but says in Zambia it's a right that is increasingly being abused in the country to settle political and other scores with devastating human and social consequences. Mr. Membe has since called for an end to these abuses. Meanwhile, Mr. Membe is concerned about Dr. KAMBWILI's health status, which he says may fuel tension if anything were to happen to him.
Surprised that Mr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI has been convicted and sent to jail. Mr. KAMBWILI made very serious allegations of soliciting a bribe against the trial magistrate. The logical thing would have been to remove this magistrate from hearing Mr. KAMBWILI's case to ensure a fair trial is not only guaranteed but is also seen to be assured. I don't think Mr. KAMBWILI received what can pass or seen to be a fair trial. Without delving into the merits or demerits of the case, very few can say Mr. KAMBWILI has been convicted and sent to jail by an impartial magistrate. There was no fair trial in this case. It's very important for every accused person to have a fair trial. It is actually impossible to overstate how important the right to a fair trial is, honestly. Fair trials are the only way to prevent miscarriages of justice and are an essential part of a just, fair and humane society. Every person accused of a crime should have a fair trial, should have their guilt or innocence determined by a fair and effective legal process. But it's not just about protecting suspects and defendants. It also makes our nation safer and stronger. Without fair trials, victims can have no confidence that justice will be done. Without fair trials, trust in government and the rule of law collapses. The right to a fair trial has long been recognized by the international community as a basic human right.
Economic and Equity Party EPP President CHILUFYA TAYALI has described himself as the new kid on the block. The public lawyer who has seen to it that the National Democratic Congress leader Dr. KAMBWILI gets convicted and says should be given the credit for that. Mr. TAYALI says he is delighted that Dr. KAMBWILI has been jailed for his wrongdoings, and the people of Zambia must not say that it was the Patriotic Front that politicized the case so that he gets locked up. He says opposition leaders must not have the concept that if anyone takes them to court, that is political victimization. Mr. TAYALI adds that it is time for Dr. KAMBWILI to pay for his deeds and as he abused his authority during his time as minister.
His conviction was the talk of the day. National Democratic Congress leader Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI will have to spend at least 12 months behind bars after the Lusaka's Magistrate Court found him guilty of the offense of forgery and uttering false documents. Many, including his relatives, wept uncontrollably over his conviction. However, one man who was the complainant in this case, CHILUFYA TAYALI, is pleased with his conviction and states that Dr. KAMBWILI deserved what happened to him.
This case is about that. It's about holding a person who was in leadership and abused power. This is what this case is all about. Nothing else. He was in power and he abused his power and he has paid for it. And I'm happy for it. Because wrongdoers must be held accountable. Wrongdoers must pay for the wrong things that they do. What about the merits of the case? What are the merits of the case? The merits of the case are watertight. It's evidence, hard evidence. I know they are talking about appealing. I can assure you, I'm here. If there will be a judge that will overturn that judgment, I don't know.
Mr. Tayali, who is Economic and Equity Party president, described himself as the new kid in the block who fights corruption.
The police. Myself, I went to court and testified in court. So I actually feel very insulted when you bring in the PF. Because this is not the fight of the PF. It's me who is fighting corruption. But PF, they are not fighting corruption. But PF appointed KAMBWILI. KAMBWILI was part of them. These things he was doing when he was in PF. This is Economic and Equity Party. CHILUFYA, TAYALI, touch and go. Public lawyer. The new kid on the block. I've said it before. I've said it, and it's not today that I've started. I've been fighting corruption from the time I was in Zambian Voice.
He says the NDC leader is paying for his deeds he committed during the time he was minister and misused his powers.
Of his position to get contracts, to get payments. Was that good? It wasn't good. And I'm sure at that point, even those who are the so-called opposition who are supporting him, I'm sure at that time they would have been very happy to see him convicted. But now, because he came out of government, he's in opposition and is with them, now they are saying it's political persecution. No. I followed KAMBWILI because of this behavior, abusing power when he was a minister. So this is what it is.
Mr. Tayali made allegations that Dr. KAMBWILI had registered a company with a fictitious name with a view that he can be getting his company, Momona Engineering and Technical Services, contracts during his time as Minister of Youth and Sport without being depicted that he was involved in that company. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, has charged that government has ignored all indicators of possible default on external debt service obligations. JCTR Executive Director, Father Alex Muyombe, notes that on September 22, 2020, government applied to holders of $3 billion United States dollars in Eurobonds to defer debt service payments for 6 months while it works on a debt restructuring strategy. He adds that this period covers the upcoming 3 coupon payments due on the 14th of October 2020, 30th January 2021, and 20th March 2021 on the respective bonds, making Zambia the first African country to ask for debt suspension on its Eurobond. JCTR is therefore concerned that government chose to ignore the many indicators of debt default that has characterized Zambia's debt disclosure since the issuance of Zambia's first Eurobond in 2013. Zambia's total debt stock, both external and domestic, is estimated at 18.5 billion United States dollars as at end of June 2020. Of this, 11.97 billion United States dollars is external.
Less than a month since the Minister of Finance, Dr. Wali Ngandu, presented to Parliament the 2021 national budget, government has admitted that it will likely default on external debt service if favorable agreement with creditors is not reached. On September 22nd, 2020, government applied to holders of its $3 billion US dollars in Eurobonds to defer debt service payments for 6 months while it works on a debt restructuring strategy. This period covers the upcoming 3 coupon payments due on 14th October 2020, 30th January 2021, and 20th March 2021 on respective bonds. Zambia becomes the first African country to ask for debt suspension on its Eurobond. The government has further gone ahead to ask all creditors for similar relief, after some non-commercial creditors agreed to a payment freeze under the G20 Debt Suspension Service Initiative, DSSI.
Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Chanda Kabwe has disclosed that next week a team from DMMU will visit GOV'T and other affected areas in Southern Province to review the response activities and provide the required relief support. Mr. Kabwe says GOV'T, Lunga and Shangombo districts are classified under Stage 4 of vulnerability and government has been providing relief support since then. He explains that according to the in-depth vulnerability assessment report, the 3 districts were badly affected and more relief was allocated to the areas. He further disclosed that unlike the accusation that government has neglected the GOV'T district, it is still on the relief schedule of the unit as one of the most hit districts by the droughts of 2018-2019 farming season. Meanwhile, Mr. Kabwe has reiterated that GOV'T Member of Parliament who accused government of neglecting the area must understand the procedures of getting government's attention and not use the media to communicate with government.
My advice is to the Member of Parliament for GOV'T. I think people are elected to represent the interest of the people, even that constituent. And if the Member of Parliament has seen that there is a need for government to help the people of GOV'T, I think the Member of Parliament by now has been in Parliament for 4 years plus now. He must understand the procedures of getting government attention. So if there's a need, the Member of Parliament shouldn't be using the media to try and speak and seek attention of government. Yes, as government we've been helping the people of GOV'T from 2019 when we had faced droughts, and GOV'T was one of the most affected districts in Stage 4, where we had GOV'T, Lunga, Shangombo, and others who are in that Pillar 4. So it's very true that GOV'T last year faced a lot of challenges in terms of food to household level because of the droughts, and government responded to feed the people of GOV'T. Now the people of GOV'T are in the recovery period from the 2018-2019 rain season, and of course we had some shocks of dry spells in the 2019-2020. So government is doing everything possible to ensure that the people of GOV'T are supported, and we intend to visit GOV'T before independence.
We take a break, but still to come, Zambia commemorates World Global Hand Washing Day under the theme Hand Hygiene for All.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
You're watching a live broadcast of Camnet TV World News. We continue. Zambia has joined the rest of the world in celebrating Global Hand Washing Day under the theme Hand Hygiene for All. Water, Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection Minister says hand washing is key in disease prevention such as cholera, dysentery, among other diseases. Dr. Chanda says governments aim at increasing access to basic hand washing services to 100% from the current 14% once water and sanitation infrastructure is made accessible to all. Dr. Chanda says this is key in attaining Vision 2030, which seeks to ensure that everyone has access to clean water. The minister notes that other agencies such as the United Nations, World Health Organization, and UNICEF estimate that a combination of diarrheal diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and acute respiratory infections such as pneumonia result in deaths of about 3.5 million children every year. Meanwhile, Dr. Chanda says hand washing and its importance in helping prevent the spread of diseases, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, should be the everyday talk in homes, places of work, and other social gatherings.
Hand washing with soap and water has been proven to be the most effective way of removing germs and other bacteria, including the coronavirus. Ladies and gentlemen, the focus on hands is because of the frequent use of hands, which entails that hands can easily accumulate germs and bacteria more than any other part of the body. I think we all agree that we shake hands with the we touch surfaces with the hand, not with the foot. The foot is covered, the hand is not. So the hand is a major transmitter of diseases. The rate of hands being contaminated with germs and bacteria every minute is very high. The need to frequently and thoroughly clean the hands to remove the germs and bacteria by washing hands with soap and water cannot be overemphasized. During this time that the country and the world has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, emphasis has been on washing hands with soap and water at all critical times, in addition to other key public health measures like mandatory face mask wearing in public and social distancing. Hand washing and its importance in helping prevent the spread of diseases should be our everyday talk in our homes, places of work, places of worship, and any other social gatherings, markets, bus stations. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that contaminated hands are the main sources of diarrhea and acute respiratory infections, especially in children under 5 years globally. The United Nations agencies such as the World Health Organization and UNICEF estimate that a combination of diarrheal diseases such as cholera, dysentery, typhoid, and acute respiratory infections such as pneumonia result in deaths of about 3.5 million children every year. And we should also add that the coronavirus is also a respiratory disease that has infected over 7 million people globally and killed over 1 million people. Ladies and gentlemen, government remains committed to attainment of set targets under the Sustainable Development Goals, Vision 2030, and the 7th National Development Plan.
Lusaka Magistrate Alice Walisigu has granted bail to 3 Marshlands directors, Tobias Milambo, Richard Luamba, and Nachi Musonda. The criminal matter has since been adjourned to tomorrow, 16th October 2020, for trial because their lawyer, Osborne Goma, was not available. The 3 accused have been put on bail of 10,000 kwacha each, with working sureties in managerial positions. Last month, the Magistrate Walusiku revoked their bond when it was established that their lawyers submitted forged COVID-19 medical reports. Magistrate Walusiku also reported Nshima Nchito, Mutembo Nchito, and Chisuo Hamawela to the Law Association of Zambia Disciplinary Committee, the defense lawyers, for unethical behavior aimed at delaying a legitimate criminal trial and for tendering forged documents in the court of law. The defense lawyers have since abandoned the marshlands director. The trio are in court facing 15 counts of forgery, uttering a false document, theft, and obtaining goods by false pretenses. It is alleged in courts up to 13 that Milambo Msonda, Lubambe, and Marshlands directors between January 1st, 2018 and December 31st, 2018 jointly and whilst acting together with the intent to deceive and defraud obtained 6,500,000 shares valued at 6,500 from Ultimate Insurance Company on 2 valuation reports dated January 6, 2018 for stand number 91, 92/35 Mungwi Road, Ndola, and subdivision A of Lusaka, number 12497/M Lusaka. In court 14, it is alleged that, on count 14, it is alleged that 4 accused on July 31st, 2019, jointly and whilst acting together, stole the property of Ultimate Insurance Limited. And moving on in other news, the Local Government Service Commission has observed that the year 2020 has been the most consistent year in terms of disbursement of funds to the councils by government. Local Government Service Commission Chairperson Amos Musonda explained that the release of funds to the council has been consistent this year, but some councils have a tendency of not utilizing the funds on time as they opt to hold on to the money in their accounts. The news reports that Mr. Musonda was speaking in Petauke yesterday when he paid a courtesy call on Petauke District Commissioner Valenasi Banda Moyo, where he is to offer technical support to councils in 3 districts of Luzagazi, Nyimba, and Petauke. He also observed that Petauke District Council has the potential to increase its revenue collection because most economic indicators were pointing to the district. He, however, expressed disappointment that Petauke Council was failing to be up to date with the payment of salaries to some of its workers, despite the council having collected enough revenue from the area. Mr. Musonda urged authorities from the council to enhance their service delivery in order to foster development in their respective districts. The commissioner also called for the need for local authorities to have a good working relationship with authorities from the district administration and the community at large in order for efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery. And moving on in the news, Camnet TV's Chairman Pastor Moses Chiluba yesterday, 14th October 2020, celebrated his 60th birthday amongst his beloved ones. The event was graced by notable names such as Movement for Multi-Party Democracy leader President Dr. Nevas Mumbaratha and former Vice President of Zambia Brigadier General Godfrey Mianda. Speaking Wednesday evening, Pastor Moses and Victoria Chiluba paid glowing tribute for God for grace to walk this earth and using them to change the lives of many people through ministry.
Healing Word Ministries International Overseer and Camnet TV Chairman Pastor Moses Chiluba yesterday celebrated his 60th birthday, thanking God for his life in a surprise party attended by former Vice President Brigadier General Godfrey Mianda and the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD President Dr. Nevas Mumba. His family and other close friends, Pastors Moses and Victoria Chiluba, told their tales of how God has been faithful in their lives.
I say he's a living legend to me. He is a living legend. We don't have to wait, or God forbid, we don't have to wait when time comes for him to report to HQ, then we start saying all these wonderful things. I have seen him as a great man of God. God bless you, sir.
I am so grateful for all of you. I am so humbled To my dear wife, thank you for accepting a Chinsalian.
Mr. Mianda, who was guest of honor, appreciated the works that Pastor Moses CHILUFYA is doing to change the lives of many people.
The late President, Dr. Frederick CHILUFYA, declared Zambia a Christian nation. As you know, if there is nothing standing behind a declaration, it will collapse. That's why it is important all believers, regardless of denomination, must try to find something to do to ensure that not only has the declarations been firmly, and I emphasize this, firmly established, but it must remain so till kingdom come. So I wanted to thank Pastor CHILUFYA and Mrs. CHILUFYA for the work that they are doing, and pray with all of you that more and more of us will have the blessing. It's not easy, it's not simple, but if you think about it, we may find another channel also. So let's not just have one. The more voices there are, the better established the declaration will be.
And MMD President Nevas Mumba, in the company of his spouse, told the tales of how far the friendship has come.
How she succeeded in tricking the Chinsalian. That you deserve to be honored. And let's be agreed. There is more that God can do with your life than just one thing. And that's why today he sits there as a man from Chinsali. Is not only do we share those great values and great things, we share the year. We are both 60 this year. So because I didn't celebrate my birthday in May because COVID was at its height, I take this celebration as my own birthday. So happy birthday to me.
The church was also represented by Henry Tukombe.
To the church, let's work together to support one another. Today it's the pastor's birthday, tomorrow it will be a birthday. But at Repera, I put to a Keseko, my pastor, whether you can acquisa, he will follow you. Whether Kumaniro, the Quisa. So, I'm a Shia Kenshi, follow. So let's follow what the vision carrier for the church has.
Camnet TV and the entire staff wish Pastor Moses CHILUFYA a fruitful life. Sharon Kalimbula, Lusaka.
We now take a break, but do stay tuned as we have international and sports news.
We all miss the days we would play outside, go to school, and visit fun places. But now, we all have to take care to prevent the coronavirus. Viruses are really tiny particles that we can't see with just our eyes, so we need to keep ourselves safe by practicing good hygiene, such as washing our hands with soap and clean water regularly. We can also use hand sanitizer to keep our hands clean. It's also important for us to keep our bodies and surroundings clean. We must also avoid handshakes, hugs, and standing close to other people in public places. This is called social distancing. The coronavirus has affected millions of people around the world, so we need to stay safe. In the meantime, we can keep ourselves busy by reading a book, watching TV, and doing some schoolwork. There's so much we can do indoors. Stay safe, stay home, and prevent COVID-19. We're all in this together.
This advert is sponsored by the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle glycerin, then it's not pure glycerin.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, life has become difficult for millions in Zimbabwe, especially the elderly. Many who saved to see them through retirement, but the 700% inflation rate and economic crisis has wiped out much of their savings. And the coronavirus pandemic is making life even harder. In other news, the Nigerian government's decision to abolish a police squad implicated in judicial killings and torture has failed protesters. A new unit called SWAT was formed to replace the disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad, but the protesters are now saying they want to hold the police and government officials accountable. We monitored Al Jazeera for these stories.
Clashes on the streets of Abuja. A group of young men armed with clubs and other weapons arrive at a busy intersection, already cut off by protesters. They set about smashing parked vehicles. Then they chased protesters against police brutality. But the tables were turned when protesters chased the attackers, who began to retreat. Not all of them got away. The running battles lasted more than half an hour. Watched by the police less than 200 meters away, protesters say the attackers were brought to the scene in 2 trucks.
The government must listen to us. We are peaceful protesters. We've not hurt anyone.
It's the demonstrators who turned around to help victims of their beating to parked ambulances.
Look at my car.
This woman's car was one of several badly damaged. The protest began peacefully in the morning as Nigerians of all ages pressed home their demand for accountability from government security forces. Nationwide rallies, which started last week against a notorious police unit implicated in extrajudicial killings and torture, succeeded in getting the government to abolish the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. But the announcement of replacement SWAT unit to fight violent crimes further angered protesters.
They should end SAS. We don't want him to dissolve it. We don't want him to form another name. They should end it. Enough is enough.
Now, how do the police deal with violent crimes like robbery, kidnappings and all that?
There are so many ways to deal with it. There are so many ways. It's not by killing people that criminality can be stopped in Nigeria. You can't kill everybody.
The latest protest disrupted traffic in businesses in parts of Abuja.
Demonstrators say police reform is just a part of their demands. They want to push further, to hold not only security agencies accountable, but to demand good governance from Nigeria's elected leaders.
In the country's most populous state, Lagos, protests were largely peaceful.
You have no reason, we have no reason to attack you because we have no reason to attack police. We have no reason to attack any protester for whatever reason we don't have.
But it's attacks such as these in Abuja, by what protesters say were paid thugs, that are raising particular concerns of instigating a new crisis in a country already dealing with several others, such as the coronavirus and Boko Haram.
68-year-old Juliet Makaza waits for her daily food ration. Her sick husband can't walk to the soup kitchen. That means bringing home something for him too. Behind her is 75-year-old Jimmy Banda. His wife died some years ago. His children are in South Africa looking for work. This ration of Zimbabwe staple food, sadza, a porridge made from maize and vegetables, must feed him and his 4 grandchildren.
I've been coming here for 2 weeks. At least I know my grandchildren and I have something to eat daily. This place must not close. There are lots of us struggling.
The soup kitchen feeds on average 3,000 people a day. Samantha Morozoki started it when she saw families in the community going to bed hungry. She says a lot of older people who live alone are regulars.
Some will tell you that their children have died because of HIV and AIDS, and some will tell you that they went to South Africa and they never came back or remembered them. Some will tell you that he or she is there but doesn't do anything for me, so I have to make a plan for myself.
Some of these pensioners had decent jobs and diligently saved for retirement, but decades of inflation in Zimbabwe wiped out their savings. Zimbabweans are facing their worst economic crisis in a decade: soaring inflation, shortages of food, foreign currency, and now the coronavirus has made things worse.
We used to get assistance from companies, individuals, but because these individuals, companies, they are also facing financial challenges. Therefore they also find it they are now finding it difficult to extend their hand to assist the elderly.
Old age homes receive a monthly grant from the state, and the government does give food and cash to vulnerable families in urban and rural areas, but it's not enough. According to the last government census done nearly 10 years ago, older people make up about 6% of the population in Zimbabwe and are some of the most neglected. The government said it's going to introduce a universal pension scheme for older people. With a struggling economy, it could be months or even years before that benefit is implemented.
We now look at sports news. Government is confident that Chipolopolo coach MICHO will deliver his time as the national team coach. Sports Minister Emmanuel Mulenga says government awarded MICHO the contract because of the hope and trust that it had in his leadership, before stating now how committed Chipolopolo patron President Edgar Lungu is committed to financially supporting the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Child Development. The minister was speaking when Football Association of Zambia FAS General Secretary Adrian Kashala and FAS Technical Director Lyson Zulu led the Chipolopolo technical bench to a performance report meeting with him at Government Complex in Lusaka. Zambia national team coach MICHO says the friendly matches were in line with the 10-year strategic plan by FAS to develop quality talent and make the national teams more competitive and much ready.
You are going to perform as expected by the Zambian people. As you are aware, we represent the Zambian people. We speak on behalf of the Zambian people, and the Zambian people do have trust in you. They do have trust. Even the time we delayed in signing your contract, they actually made a lot of noise that we need to sign this contract because we trust this court. Since the Zambian people trust you, we as government, we trust you. And we know that you are going to perform. So coming to the games which you are going to have on the 12th and 16th of November with Botswana, which is the AFCON qualifiers, as government will give you the maximum support which you deserve financially, physically, even the infrastructure you need to use in this country. We'll make sure that we make them available for you to perform and make sure that you win this game. It's do or die. We still have a number of friendly games that we've lined up. We want to make sure that our team is ready for the AFCON qualifiers come November against Botswana, but we still feel that we have the chance to qualify to AFCON. I think the third game that we play and fourth game that we play against Botswana gives us leverage to still claim the position in the AFCON. And in doing so, we have also talked to a number of countries. I think we should be going in and concluding discussions, which discussions will be shared with your office, Honorable Minister, I think towards the end of the week.
I need to add, Honorable Minister, that these friendly matches have come hand in hand with our intention to have a 10 years strategical plan. And we have in that regard, in an organization of our technical team, we are having a coach that has for years proven as a master in promoting young players towards seniors categories. And together with the technical director, three of us, technical director, myself, and Osam Utapa, we have been tasked to assist in establishing for the first time under 15 and going to Croatia to to the tournament that has attracted representation of Zambia representing Africa, Qatar representing Asia, and 6 other European countries.
That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines once again. CHILUFYA TAYALI celebrates the jailing of NDC leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. JCTR says the Zambian government paid a blind eye to its debt obligations, hence the panic. Government stresses the need for enhanced hand washing in disease prevention. And in international news, Nigeria protests continue even after government disbands police squad. And in sports news, sports minister expresses confidence in coach MICHO, assures them of maximum support. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Ecclesiastes 7 verse 14. And it reads, "On a good day, enjoy yourself. On a bad day, examine your conscience. God arranges for both kinds of days so that you won't take anything for granted." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV, not just another channel.